What's up, folks? Let me pull this up real quick. I'm hanging out working on this template here to get it up and running. This Revelations template. So I figured I would just give you an inside look of how I build the template out. Let me get the chat thing up now. If you have any questions or anything, please just add them to the. Whoa, that's me talking. Add them to the comments below, and maybe I can see those and answer them. So I'm in After Effects right now. I've got the Photoshop working a little bit. I still got to go back to that one, but I'm just going to give you an inside look at all the little bits and pieces that make up the template, using a lot of expressions and using the Essential Graphics window and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I'm sort of working. I probably will stop and have to solve problems, and so it's very sort of just free flowing, and I don't have it all worked out. I'm probably going to have to solve a few things. So feel free to hang out, pop in and out as you wish, and ask some questions. So here I am in the After Effects version, and I am just doing a lot of cleaning up, making sure a lot of layers are hidden that I don't need, as well as just getting everything laid out so it's easy to actually edit. So let me close some things down, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. Close all these things down here. Opening verse. Here we go. All right, so typically what we do is we set up sort of a controls panel inside of After Effects, and that will let you see all the changes as you go. So I've gotten that here, and now I need to go in and add the text little editing sections here to where you can go in and change the text on your own. So this one's actually going to have 3 versions to it. It's going to have a long version that's like just over 2 minutes, I think, maybe 2.5 minutes, and then a medium version, maybe 1.5 minutes or so, and then a short version that's just at a minute or under a minute. Just because there's so many bits and pieces to this one that I wanted to, I just wanted to include it all and get as many versions as I could. So let's jump in. I've gotten this opening verse. So right here is the opening verse, and then it sort of transitions to Greek, and so all that's laid out right here. So I'm going to jump into the next section that's a little bit easier to follow. So I'm going to close this down. So what I do is, if you never used Essential Graphics, this is probably what After Effects looks like when you open it up, and then you can go to Window and Essential Graphics. And this has made our world a lot easier as far as making templates. So I'm going to go into I want to get these little lines of text up here. Let's see if I can make this a bit bigger. Get these little lines of text up here, right here, so when you change it here, it updates it here. So let's just do this first one. So this is the first little line here. I'm going to go into composition long. Actually, I need to go to my text. So text number 1, and so right here is where it sort of animates out, and there's some like glitchy effects on this. All right, so that's what I want to be able to edit. So all I need to do to add these lines to the Essential Graphics window is I go to the actual text layer. I'm going to hit U a couple times to pretty much reveal all the little bits and pieces. So you can see there's a lot of little keyframes in here that are creating that glitchy look. You can ignore those. You don't have to worry about those at all. But I grab this source text little parameter, I guess, and I just drag that up here. I'm going to drop it in. It says it's unrelated to the long version and will not affect the rendering. I think I did the right one. That's okay. You can ignore that. That doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to do text 1, and then the year 95 AD. And we're going to grab this one too. U a couple times. Grab that source text. So this will be your next line from the island in the Aegean Sea. If that's how you say that. If you're just hopping in, feel free to join or ask any questions. I'm just doing some building this template out, so using expression controls and Essential Graphics, and really just kind of whistling while it works. So feel free to ask any questions about this process or whatever you might be working on. All right, so let's see if that actually works. Let's go back to the controls, and let's type in long ago. That actually adds it. Didn't work. All right. All right, so here we go. Let's delete these. That didn't work. Let me 12 long version, longer long. Let me go to already failing. That's okay. Most overhead. That's what I want there. Oh, the red marker is probably the one. Ah, that's where it is. So let's try this again. In the year 9580. Let's try this. There it goes. So now I didn't get that error, so that's good. And I'm going to drag that. So what I did is, again, I'm going to the actual text layer that's in that project, hitting U a couple times. When you hit U a couple times, it reveals pretty much anything that you've tweaked. And so I grab that source text, and just drag it up to the Essential Graphics window. And now if I go back to Controls long version, right here is where we're looking at. So if I can zoom in so you can see that. Go up here, so I'll just say long ago. Boom, and so you see right there, it changed it right there. So the same thing will happen for this one. Say on an island. Someone's asking if the Essential Graphics is a plugin, and it's as long as you have, I think, 2017 and older, or 17 and newer, I guess, then it should be there. You go to Window and Essential Graphics right there, and that will pop this in. All right, so I can undo those. It's really good for it's what we use for making anything that will transition to Premiere, like a lower third template or the sermons recap templates that we've gotten. So we use that as well. So check that out. It's super helpful when it comes to making templates or changing colors globally and things like that. But expression controls really help that out. And we'll be getting into some of that in a bit. Okay, so that looks good. That worked. But now we need to tweak this little box. We want to make sure that box is scalable. So I'm going to go back to, I think it's in text 1. And so here's where it gets a little bit more complicated. So this is my red box. I'm just going to label that red box. And this is just a basic shape layer. And it has an animation right now where it sort of comes out from the side there. And that is being controlled by, if you go into contents, if you make a shape layer, you have contents, then your rectangle, and then you go to the transform rectangle. Not the actual transform for the layer, but the transform for the shape. And then I have this scale animating right there. Okay, so I need to actually be able to control that scale's size if you make the text smaller. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go into contents, rectangle, toggle this down a little bit, rectangle path, and then the size. And I turn off so it doesn't scale proportionally. I just turn that little chain link off, and I can control these together like that. Okay, so I want to add an expression to this to where I can use a slider control to where I can control the width and the height separately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Option, and I'm going to click this little stopwatch, and that's going to pull up this little expression text box. And I don't have these memorized, but I'm going to go to my document here, and this is my the expression I'm going to use. So it's taking your X value and giving it some sort of usually I'm going to link it to these sliders. So I wish I could explain it better, but I can't. I don't have any of that memorized. I typically Google it every time and then paste it in because I'm not that smart. So put that back over there. Okay, so I got that copied, and I'm just going to click in here and I'm going to paste it. And there's going to be an error right here, and that's because I need to give it you might hear my kids screaming in the background. I need to give it an actual expression control. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to click on that layer, that shape layer. I'm going to go to Effect, Expression Control, and Slider Control. So this is going to be just a long slider I can control the width and the height of that box. So I need to go and change the name of this to box width. Box width. And I just click on where it says that's that slider control, hit enter, and I can change that. And so now I need to do another one for the box height. So I can click on that effects controls, box width, just duplicate it, Command D, and now I can change that to box height. Oops. Okay, so there we go. So now it's 0 and 0, and you can't see the box anymore because the value is 0. But if I give my slider and I extend it, you can see that line extending there. So somewhere around there, and then the height will bump up to about right there. Okay, so problem is I need to add an actual position to that, I think. So I'm going to, let's go to Effect, Expression Controls, I think Point Control. Yeah, I believe Point Control. Yeah. So now I need to go to the position, this one right here, hold down Option and click that little stopwatch. And I think I can grab this little pick whip, this little swirly line, drag it and drop it on this point control. And then click off of that. So far, so good. So it threw my little box way down here, but all I need to do is I can adjust these numbers and change that. It puts my, hang on, let's see if I can move this. Nope, let's see. Put that up here. It's kind of weird that it put it way down there, but that's okay. At the end of the day, that doesn't matter. But now, yeah, so I'm adjusting the X axis and the Y axis. So if I were to go, actually, if I were to go to change this to long ago, then I can adjust that box size. So I want to maybe do the width a lot lower. And then I can move that box around. All right, so these actually need to do a left justification. So it always comes from right there. And then the box needs to come over here. Something like that. So now I can extend those out and then move that left and right. Okay, so I'm gonna undo, put that back. 5. Oops. I don't miss any questions. I think I'm good. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them out there as I'm working on this project. And I'm going to stretch that back out. So now that I have these little parameters set up, something like that, maybe a little wider. So now what I can do is I can go into this red box and I can go to, I'm going to toggle this down, back open, contents, effects. You can see box width, box height, and point control. So now I can take box width and I can drop this slider up here and we'll call this box width. So whenever you actually, if you use these templates, if you download them, this is kind of how it's all made out. So box height. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I can change the range on this to be, like something crazy. That way you have tons of space to stretch that out. Okay, I probably will go in and somehow link my anchor point, let's see, to be on the left-hand side so that it scales always from the left to right, but that's going to take a little bit more of me Googling and figuring that out because I'll mess it up and that'll be boring. So box height, and we need to do the box position. So I'm going to hit U a few times again, put on the bottom where that point control is, and move this up here, and now I can rename that to box position. Boom. All right. Right on. Here we go. Close, collapse all that. And that one's good to go. Oh, I need to add the agency. hit U a couple times. I'll make sure I am left justified so that it always types from the left. That's good. And I'm going to drag that source up there. Okay, oh, it's already in there. Never mind, it's already in there. So we'll call this line 1 and line 1, or line 1.2. Okay, cool. So that is how that is built out there. If I go back to controls, all of it will be updated there. So if I move that box, you can see it shifted right there. So that's looking pretty good. All right. That works. So let's move on to the next one. This one's going to take some time to do for sure because there's a lot of little pieces like this. Okay, let's see. Let's jump in project. Let's see, text number 2. I probably won't go through all of these with you because it'll be crazy boring. A letter put on paper by John. I need that one. Oh no, I'm missing one. Oops. This needs to actually be. I really want to show you the video of the final, but it won't come through very good. It'll be all pixelated and that'll make me sad. So some other time. Hope to get this done today, maybe post it tomorrow. Freeze frame, there we go. Okay. A message emerged. So I'm gonna go to text number 2. Super easy. I'll start moving a little quickly. Hit U a couple times, grab that text layer, source text, drop here, call this line 2. Merge, that's good. And we're gonna add our box in here. I need to add those. We'll do a point control. We'll do a slider control, call that box width. And add another one, box height. Okay. And I'm gonna hit U a couple times on the keyboard, and I want to affect the rectangle 1, rectangle path, and then size. And grab my expression, copy. And again, I'm going to right click, or I'm going to hold down Option and click on the little stopwatch. Gives me this little expression editor, and I'm going to paste in that text there. So you can say, hey, I need to reference the effect, which is the slider. That slider is called box width, which we renamed. And then the slider is that little thing right there. Okay, so now it disappeared, and we can scale that up. I want to just do emerged, so somewhere around there, a little bigger. And that point control needs to be on the position. Link that to the point control. Boop. And it moved it way over here. Maybe zero this out, 0. And move it this way and this way. All right. Sweet. There we go. That's pretty good. So that should all be set. And now I can just drag these things into here. Go down to, I wish I could just grab them here and drag them over, but it won't let you do that. You have to go actually to the layer and hit U a few times to hopefully reveal these things. Here they are, point control. So I can say box position. Oops. Box width. Make my life a lot easier if I just didn't put these boxes in there. Add the normal text, but I think they look kind of nice. And so now that should adjust. Yeah, there it goes. So it's so much cleaner here than having to go into all this effects controls tab and change things around and whatnot. So at the end of the day, we'll skip around. I still have to do it for the short version and the medium version, but if you're on your controls, so when you open up the project, typically on our series, you open up the project and you look at something like this, and you have this essential graphics window open. You can then just easily go down the list and make your changes. So let's tweak that. Oops. I can move my little slider here to adjust this one up here. There we go. So you can see it a little bit. I can edit. I need to edit the range to probably something like 1500. Go left. Less. Something like that. Okay. Cool. And each one of our series comes with a tutorial of me telling you how to make these changes. So there we go. Close enough. All right. Lovely. Let's look real quick. I'm going to skip all these other text pieces and let's look at the title real quick. Then I'll jump into some Photoshop stuff if you're interested. Sweet. No questions. Let's move on. Let's see. Where is my title scene here? Scene. Title and tagline. Here we go. Red title. So here's this little the 7 animating here. So if I just want to change this, again, I would just add that source text up here. And we'll call this main title. And let's say I want to call this Revelation. Boom. Super big. I'll put some actually I probably can just do it here. Scale. Oops. What? Oh. For some reason the scale parameter doesn't work in here. Oh, it's probably because it's a 3D layer. So what I would need to do is add a null object to it, I believe. So I'm going to do effect, new null object. And this is just sort of like a fake hidden layer. And then now I can take the revelation. I'm going to pick whip it, grab this little pick whip here and add it to the null. So I can call this maybe like position and scale. Because I can't add, if it's a 3D layer, which you can see right here, the little cube, I can't add a 3D layer parameters to the essential graphics window for some reason. So if I just link it to another 2D layer, this null object, then I can scale it around, I think. So I'm gonna hit scale here and close this one down. Oops. So I'm gonna click the scale and drag it up and drop it here. So we'll call this title scale. So now it should be able to, scale it down. I'll probably, let's see what happens here. So I'm gonna play this. Comes together right there. Boom. So if I go back to my, actually we'll just look at the very end position. Yeah, there's Revelation there. So I got to do some work as far as getting that to fit. I probably will just have to scale it down some more. So let's do a scale some more here. There we go. And then I just need to add a little thing for right there. But it sort of blurs in. The tracking sort of comes in. It's going to look pretty cool. Okay. Let's move on. So that's sort of how I build that out here. So whenever you open up our projects, you get, all this is nice and organized, and you'll see something like this. And then, you can start going down that entire list. That will change pretty much everything. This one, I think we'll probably keep just that red color, but all the text will be easily updated. So most people get kind of scared of After Effects, but hopefully setting all this stuff up makes it pretty easy. Okay, so let's jump into Photoshop, I think. I don't think I'm going to go through too much more of this because it's sort of just repetitive going through all these little scenes. But it's pretty cool. I look forward to showing you the final here. It's going to be pretty sweet. Okay. All right, let's do some Photoshop stuff. So let me just save this. And we will close that down. I got some more work to do there. Let's go mess around with some Photoshop artboards. But it's really good as far as using the, they might close down on me. I was going to show you one more thing, but using color controls to control your entire project, so that if you're working on maybe like an announcement video or something like that, you can use different color controls with the Essential Graphics window and control everything. If you want more details on that, just add it to the comments and let me know. But for now, we're going to jump into the Photoshop file. Photoshop. Trying to remember which one. Project files, Photoshop. Okay, branded social. So I've already kind of started a little bit, but we'll, I think I just had the main graphic done, then we'll break that down and turn that into artboards for social media, screen media, stuff like that. Typically, I get it all built and then export all the different versions and then do a tutorial. And what's real sad is while I'm doing the tutorial, I find little mistakes and I got to go back, redo it, fix all the problems, then come in. So this is the main brand, which I've already posted. So just a nice big title here with all these little call outs for the different little cities or whatever. Okay, so let's open up. We have our main graphic. This is like a 4K version, so we just need to duplicate that. So this, again, is an artboard. See, it's sort of like in this little folder right there. But now I'm going to go to, actually, I can just duplicate this. I can click on this folder, hit Command J to duplicate, and it's going to make another one here. But if you're not really sure how to start with artboards, if you just had and this is great for us church folk that have to make a lot of media. Let me go in here. Can I kill this artboard? Delete, ungroup artboards. There we go. So if you just had like a blank canvas and you needed to make an artboard, you could just, I think you can right click on it and do artboard from layer, artboard from layers there, or you can go to layer, new artboard. Then you say, this is going to be, a bulletin or social media post, and you can tell it the size you want. And then you can also adjust it in the properties here. So maybe this is like 8 point. Oh, that would be pixels. Like 500 by 1500. Now you have a bookmark apparently. But then you can get that, and you can make another artboard. And this could be your, social media post. Oops, 1500 by 1500 pixels. And now you have social media posts here, but let's get into that on how to make that happen. So I've duplicated my artboard, and we're going to call this social square. Usually with our series, you get at least a square version and a story version. So this is a square version. I'm going to go to the properties tab, which is right here. You can go to window and properties to see that. Properties 1500 by 1500. Boom. Oh, there we go. So now I need to scale everything down. So I'm just going to go into the artboards here and scale this way down. Move this over here somewhere. The story version of this is going to be tricky because of these cities, but we'll see what we can come up with. Oh, Siri started talking. She thought I heard her. Okay, so then I can zoom in, and now I have a new artboard. I have to go in and tweak some of these little pieces. So let's see, overlays. It's just a grid, dust overlays, some dust layers there, Greek writing. Probably will scale that up a bit. There's some tons of Greek writing in the really faint in the background. Zoom in, you can kind of see it up there. Okay, and then I'm missing something. Map overlay. Greek writing. Move that up some more. call outs. There we go. Let's see. I probably needs to scale up. And all I'm doing is just clicking those layers, hitting V on the keyboard for that move tool, and then I can pretty much transform it. I used to always have to hit Command T, but now you don't have to do that. All right, so this is my map. So I'm probably going to take the map and the city callouts and scale that down like that. Boom. That fits pretty good. Probably take that Greek writing, scale it up. Actually, you know what? There's a mask on this. So this is a clipping mask. If you don't really sure what a clipping mask is, I'm going to disable it. It's just anything black is hidden and anything white is visible. So you just, to make those, you can click on this little button right here. So if I delete this, click on this little layer mask there, it adds it there. So now this whole thing is white, and so everything is visible. But if I hit B for my brush tool, and I want to sort of brush it out over the map. Whoa. B on the keyboard, make sure the black color is selected, and I can sort of paint that out. I'm using a pretty soft brush, but just clicking, holding the mouse button down, and painting that out there. Sweet. And also what we do is we make our titles, for the most part, they are all editable at once. So you're not going to go in and change each and every one. We do that with smart layer or linked layers. So for instance, I'm going to go to my text folder. So inside of here, we have this little chain link thing right here is saying that it's a linked layer. And so it's referring back to another Photoshop file, which is really good if you're using artboards for a bunch of different, bulletins and social media posts that'll all update at one time. And so to do that, let me turn this off. So let me hit T on the keyboard. So if I type in tutorial, scale that up, that red. Okay, so this is just a basic text layer, but if I right click on this and I go to convert, first you have to convert it to a smart object, and then right click again and do convert to linked. If you're doing turning a layer that's already in your Photoshop file into a linked layer, or you can go, if you already have that file made somewhere, you can just go to File, Place, and Place Linked File or something like that. But then you just tell it where you want to save it. So I'll just do it on the desktop for now. And then now you can see it's got this little linked layer button. So I can double click on that. Actually, let me add it to, okay, click on this. It basically opens up that Photoshop file that we made. I typically like to make it bigger. I just multiply these times like 3, so times 3. Give me a little more space, but now I can change this to say my name. When no one is around, you just say, baby, I love you. There we go. And save that. And now it updates it automatically. So for this 7 option here, so let me turn that back on right there. This is, you can have multiple linked layers in your design. So I have this same thing inside of this one. So if I double click on that, I have a little option in here for the revelation. So I can turn this one off. Now we have revelation. And if I just save it and go back to my main brand, boom, it updates it. So you just may need to do some scaling, but for the most part, it saves you a whole lot of time, and it all looks the same, and feels pretty good. So, all right, as I'm just messing around, if you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to add them to the comments, and I will try to answer them. This was made with, let me open this up here, just a few clipping masks. So if you're interested in this text effect, I guess, just make a text layer. We'll call this revelation. And then I add a clipping mask to that. So clicking this little button down here. And then I take a brush. So I'm going to click on my clipping mask, make sure it's selected. My brush tool, which is B on the keyboard. But you can download a bunch of brushes from online But I have like a debris one, I think. Let me see. That I got from somewhere a long time ago that I use a lot. But I'm right clicking. If I have my brush selected, I can right click and get this little window. So I go down to this debris folder and we'll click this one and I'm gonna hit enter. Make sure that clipping mask is selected, and with the black brush color selected, I can then click here and it sort of starts hiding whatever that hiding that text layer. So maybe we can do a couple different options. Something like that. Then make it like even more so on this end. Then maybe add like some grungy scratches or something. Okay. So that's how that kind of happens there. And then to do the other one, I just make a new layer. I Shift Command N. And then I hit B on the keyboard. And I'm basically do that same debris layer right here. Hit enter. And then I'm going to just paste this in as another color. So I need to make this basically the same color as the red. So I'm going to hit I on the keyboard for my eyedropper. B on the keyboard again for my debris. And I can also go to brush settings up here. And that's under window and brush settings. And I can rotate that brush so it looks like it's sort of blowing from left to right. And if I just kind of click, now we're getting some, looks like it's flying off there. Try a different one here. Change it up a little bit. So maybe just a little bit down here. And so these look kind of silly down here at the bottom. So I'm going to add a clipping mask to that. Hit B on the keyboard. Get a soft brush. And sort of just get rid of some of that there. Just wanted some of these small little pieces. There we go. So something like that. You could take that and maybe move it around, rotate it a little bit. Again, click on your layer, hit V on the keyboard, and now you have some distressed, disintegrating text. Okay, so that's how that is created. Delete those, turn this back on, and I can turn this 7 back on and hit save. Go back to my main, and boom, there it is. Okay. That's kind of it. That's all my tricks. So again, I'll take this social, probably this main graphic here, duplicate it, Command J, and we'll call this social story. And I need to go to the properties menu, make this a 1920 by 1080, but turned on its side, so 1080 and 1920. My wife has a friend over right now, and they are super loud. Hopefully that's not distracting. Doing something fun with the kiddos. Okay, so here we go. So I have my main graphic, social square, and social story. So now I got to get this one to fit. I'm going to go into all of this stuff, holding down Shift and selecting all those layers, and scale this down. We'll focus on the title right now, so it's somewhere here, something like that. Okay, and we're going to go, we'll let that transform. There we go. We'll go into the background layer. I can just rotate this. This is just a color layer, I believe. Nothing fancy there. I'm going to take our map and our callouts, Shift, click, and we'll move this down, scale it down. And the thing with scaling is I hold on Option and it'll scale from the center, something like that. This one's going to feel a little bit empty, but that's the best I can do. Or there's the option to just turn that off completely. Or yeah, just no map at all. Okay. Where'd it go? There it is. And our Greek writing, where'd it go? overlays, Greek writing. I'm just going to move this mask down. If you turn off this little chain link and then you click your mask, you can move it and it won't move your layer. That's kind of nice. Then you can lock that back down. Scale that back up. Something like that. That's good. Text, move it down. Boom. There is a social media post, sort of. It's got some work to do, but you get the idea. So now, I feel like I go over artboards a lot. I got to find something else to do a tutorial on. But the next thing to do would be to export these. So these are all going to be JPEG formats. You can go in and right click on your layers and do export as or quick export as JPEG. Export as give you some options to scale it, but if you're doing all JPEGs and you want everything to be the same size that it actually is, you can just go to File, Export Artboards to Files, and then you just tell it JPEG, tell it where to save it, and it'll do a bunch of glitchy looking stuff, but it'll export all those individually. Okay, let's see here. That kind of covers all of that. So we'll do that, and then we'll do a full screen version and a lower third version. So if I were to hit save, we'll call this full screens, lower third. For a minute. I'll be wrapping up soon. So if there's a question you have about anything, if it's something you're working on, you need help with something, or it's a question about After Effects or Pixel Preacher projects or whatever, then please post and let me know before I sign off. So this is my full screen. So I'm going to delete these two. I don't need these anymore. The full screen version is not really anything very exciting, just some of this background stuff on here. So I'll probably will turn this one off. Oops. Turn off the map with no callout, something like that. It's kind of a cool look. And so I'll just put like a pastor name and a pastor title and stuff like that. But for the lower thirds, we'll duplicate. And I typically just make call this lower third. There'll be a scripture version and a name slate version. And that'll be something along the lines of grabbing this and adding a clipping mask to that. So probably somewhere a little bit of the scripture stuff and a little bit of the mountain stuff. And I'll just hit once I just grab my marquee tool, click and drag a big box, and then I can click that folder and add the clipping mask to that. So I'll need to go in and fix the color correction stuff, but actually I can just do this right here. And then I need to take the lower third, go into properties, and it is transparent. I'll have to go in and fix all this later, but that is how I would make the lower third. Is then I can take all these. So now you have a transparent background that you can use on, video or something like that. So I put scripture down here, put a name down here, and that's kind of it. That's sort of how we build it out. That's a quick way in a nutshell of how to do that. But yeah, that's kind of about it. So let's see what else we can talk about. Let's maybe take a look at some other inside pieces of this project while we're looking at it. So this mountain range here was done with Cinema 4D. Probably should open the actual project. This could cause the whole thing to shut down, but we'll give it a try. Relation C4D main map, I think. Again, as I wrap up, if you have any questions on anything, let me know. I can probably close this. We'll save it. Oh, no, don't need that. Nope. Close that. Yes. All right. So let's see if I can sort of remember. I did this back in, this project was actually for another church that hired us to make it. And typically, if your church is ever looking for custom work, we usually offer a little bit of a discount, with the understanding that Pixel Preacher can take that project and mold it into a project we can offer to the churches. And so this was that situation to where this was, they needed a Revelation series. So we worked on this actually back in February, but have yet to release it. So this obviously looks pretty boring. Not a whole lot going on here, but if you're not really sure what Cinema 4D is, this is it. Oops. This is just a 3D program. So basically what's going on is I have, let me turn off, let's see. I guess this will probably work. Water, terrain. So I have a plane, just a plane layer. Let me turn off the elevation. Let's see. Actually, let's render it and see what happens. Redshift. Using Redshift as my render. So down here is going to show you that right there. Hopefully you can see that okay. Let's get that kind of bigger. So it's basically taking a plane, which is this plane object right here, nothing fancy. And then you add basically, you give it a lot of geometry. So we can maybe give it like 200 by 200 polygons. If I go here, you can see now I have like all these little squares, but if it was something small, 20, you just get a smaller grid or a bigger grid. So the more editable polygons you have, you can make cooler shapes. So then you add, go back to my other project. Which one do we have here? I'm trying to mimic it. This one here. You can hear my computer ramping up. So this is just like a metal texture, and then you add what they call a displacement. I'm not going to go into all the crazy details, but you add a displacement, and so it takes the, let me see if I can find the texture. So you add, let me show you this image here, an image like this. So this is taking, this is of that like Turkey area where those cities would be, and you do a height map, elevation map. There was a website that I used for that, like height map, Google something. Something like this site here. So this is a height mapper, but you can zoom in wherever that was here, and it's saying, you know, it's sort of like a depth map. So things that are white are going to be higher, or you know, mountains and things like that closer to you, and the other stuff will be flat. So you can get pretty close into here as far as the details go. So this tried to make the map pretty accurate. So I take that and I put that into my displacement texture, and then when I add that to my layer, it takes that displacement and uses the white and black values to affect the plane. So I'm going to click and drag it up here. Hopefully my computer won't explode, and it doesn't show you it here. It just shows you it like in the final render. So let's see what happens. So it's progressive rendering right now. So we're going to see what it's kind of calculating everything. And it probably would help if I put a light in here, maybe. You can see, there we go. This is terrible lighting. But I can go back. I'll just go back to my main one because that's pretty terrible. Because I think I have to put like a, let's see, plane. I have to add a tag to it, redshift, object, and then geometry override, displacement override. There we go. I think that'll do it. There it goes. So it's starting to get kind of I think I have it facing the wrong way, but you see now it's sort of affecting it a little bit. So it's looking all bumpy. So that's what's happening here. And this one is, if I zoom in, I have just some various lights around. But now if I zoom in pretty tight, you start seeing all this little map. So I'd take that, I'd add a little camera animation in there, and use that for the actual map animation side of it. So that's how that map was created. Turn that off before my computer explodes. Okay, I think that about really does it as far as the template goes. Close this. No. I'm gonna open up After Effects one more time and show you that color thing, to where I feel like that would be something you could definitely use in your projects in the future. If you're getting After Effects and wanting to use that essential graphics option to update different colors, I'll show you that real quick. Then I'll be done. I'm gonna get back to work. So if I was going to, okay, if I had, let's say, a bunch of slides, let's say slide 1, we'll add, let's actually do another one. Slide 2. Let's pretend these are like announcement slides or something like that. So then the overall general concept would be to I'll make another composition and call this main color, and I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to add a new layer, a new solid, and it doesn't really matter what color is there. Hit OK. So this is just a blank solid layer, and now I'm going to add an effect and go to generate and go to fill, and so now it has this red color. You can see it right there. So now if I hit U a few times on the keyboard, well, I'm going to go to effect, fill, grab that color, so this color channel here, and I can just drag that up here. Now if I change this, it'll change that color. And so if you had a bunch of different slides, I'm going to go in here to my slide 1. I'm going to drop my main color. So let's say this was your background color. Actually, let me do one more. All this. Actually, do that differently. Delete. Let's say I do. So that'll be a way to use just dragging that effect, generate fill, using that color parameter and drag it into essential graphics. And then if I had, like, let's say this was your main color, then you had a text layer. So let's say this says welcome. Okay, and we'll do this some other font here, bold. So here's where I would add. This is where it would be pretty helpful. So hit you a few times here. So this one doesn't have a any sort of color parameter on it besides what's in your character panel, and you can't use that as you can't link that to anything. So what I would do is I would go to the welcome. I would add an effect fill, and now we have this red color. And so then I would make some sort of global control composition thing. So I'll make a new composition, call this controls, hit OK. And so I'm going to drag maybe like slide 1, scale this down, something like this, and slide 2. There's nothing in there yet, so we'll drop this in here, and we'll do another text layer. Have a great day. Okay. And then I'm going to I'll come back to that one actually. Let me go back to scene 1. No, sorry, controls. And so I'm going to make another layer called just a null object, because it doesn't really matter, and we'll call this controls. So here's I'm going to contain all my color pieces to it. Well, some of them. So I'm going to do that text controls onto this one. So I'm going to go to layer. I'm going to go to effect, expression controls, and color control. And so right now that's not doing anything. It's just a controller of some sort. And so I'm going to go back to my slide 1, my text layer. So now I'm going to link the effects that I add, that fill, and I'm going to link this color on the fill of my text layer to the control panel color control that we just added. Problem is I can't do that if I'm like on this slide, and then I can't drag it up there because it shows this one. So you have to go to controls, click on that controls layer, and then lock it, this little lock button. So if I go back to slide 1, color control there, click and drag, and I'm going to drop it up here. Boom. So now if I'm back in my control panel and you're looking at all of your slides for your announcements, then I actually need to go to back here. Actually, I'm going to go to slide 1. I'm going to copy the effects, this fill. I'm going to copy this, and it should copy the expression over as well. So I'm going to copy it. So if I open this up, now you can see when I did the little pick whip, it created this little expression. But I think if I just click on my fill here and copy it, and then I go to slide number 2 and paste it onto the have a great day, it should do it there. And now if I go back to controls, and I want to put that in my essential graphics panel, effects, control, and click that up here. So we'll call this, okay, text color. So if I click here and change this to, say, like a cream color, hit OK, they both change. Same thing goes for our main color. So I can change this to like an orange. Boom. So that would update your entire project throughout the whole thing. So you can have multiple different colors. You can have, some for background, some for some accent colors, and they can all control them that way. And that's sort of how it updates everything. So I know I ran through that kind of quick, but that's a great way to apply that technique to maybe a project you're working on. Same thing for like a series bumper. If you want to change some of those red blocks to a different color, you could. I probably won't do it for the Revelation one, but that's how you would do it. So if, or even the text slice, if you do the whole bumper and the pastor, somebody says, oh, the text is too small, can you scale it up? You could scale up everything all together. So it takes a little bit of setting up, but once you start learning how to do it, it goes a lot quicker. So anyways, that's sort of an inside look. Just felt like doing a quick little tutorial on that. I look forward to sharing the Revelation series with you. That'll be hopefully tomorrow, I think. So I got some work to do, but hopefully that helps, and hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for being a part of the group. If you have any questions on this, add them to the comments, and we'll see you next time. All righty. Take it easy, guys.